Well, thank you so much, Father, for giving me that opportunity to share my story. I always believe it is a great blessing as a Christian myself to have an opportunity to share what God has done for me. If I have one way, if there's one title that I could give to my story, it's "The Lord is my shepherd," which is really significant because if it was not for God's grace, I will not be here today. And if I say this too, there is another title I could consider is "Face the Impossible with God." Facing the impossible with God means many things for me because at first glance, when you see someone with a physical disability, you have different questions that come to your mind. So how did that happen? Oh, can you really play the trumpet? Oh, how are you able to do all these things? But sometimes it's easy for people to see the person instead of seeing the person behind the person. What do I mean by that? All that you see that I could accomplish, it's because of God's grace. I could not have done it by myself. Now let me give you a glimpse of who I am. Maybe you will have an idea what I mean. I was born in Haiti. And when I say I was born in Haiti, I was born in a very poor family where we could not afford anything. But God is good. There's a prolific writer who make a statement. She's a Christian writer called Ellen G. White. She make that statement. She said, "Man extremities is God opportunity." Let that sink a little bit. Man extremity is God opportunity. So where you feel like you cannot do anything else, that where God step in and help you. Let me explain that. I lost my arm when I was 4 years and a half. 4 years and a half. And grew up in a poor family, and then your mother basically could not afford anything. Now, losing an arm, it's already seen as a curse for many, or someone who determined to be a beggar, someone who basically his hope is to be dependent. But God has another plan. So at that time, it was very difficult for me. One thing that my mother did for me that was significant was she never considered me as someone who has a physical disability. She basically gave me chores like everybody else. She gave me the same chores as my brother, expected to be done, no matter how I figured it out. And that for me, at first, I did not understand it until when I decided to play the trumpet. When I was around 9 years old, I wanted to play the trumpet. Although I was in a school designed for people with disabilities, but people, even if they create that school for that, St. Vincent's, which is an Episcopalian school, they told me that I could not play the trumpet, actually. It took me over 3 years and a half to convince music teachers that I could play the trumpet. Now, if my mother did not teach me that, well, I have to go back to mention that one of other things that my mother taught me that was significant. She taught me that nothing is impossible with God. Now, later on, when I started reading the Bible, and when I went to Luke chapter 1, verse 37, that reminds you the story of Mary, when the angel came to Mary and said, "You will have a child." Of course, for Mary, this was impossible. But what did the angel say? "For with God, nothing is impossible." And that also made me think about that statement. Man extremity is God opportunity. Where you feel like you can't do anything, that's when you rely on God. And I decided I am going to persist. I will be persistent until they let me try. So when they decided to let me try, they expect failure. They expect me will be discouraged. Instead, I have a different mindset. I was very determined. I decided to practice more than the other kids that I know who play the trumpet. The first thing that I have to tell you, with a physical disability, people usually see your disability before they see your ability. And for me, that's something that I learned at a very young age. I knew that the society will have a different point of view of me. So I have to do my best or even do more than the regular student will do. So I decided to practice. I purposefully pay attention to how many hours the student practice. If I know they practice 1 hour, I will practice 2. If I think they practice 2, I will practice 3, purposefully, to the point that I make a lot of progress. Now, my story doesn't stop there because my goal, I have dreams, although I don't see how the dream will be fulfilled. But I still believe that God, that was the God of Abraham, the God that was the God of Jacob, the God that was the same God that was of Daniel, is still the same today. So I said, well, wait a minute. If I trust God, if I do my part, God is too good to not do his part. Again, man extremity is God opportunity. In fact, I feel like God is waiting. When you feel like you can't do something, you rely on him for him to step in. And with my trust in God and continue with life, I was fortunate enough, God put people in my path, including St. Vincent's, which was an Episcopalian institution, Collège Saint-Pierre, where I had a chance to do my high school. And I tried to work really hard so that I can stay on scholarship. And God blessed me and blessed people, put people on my path. And those schools, thankfully, by God's grace, I was able to go on scholarship. After that point, it was still being difficult, living in Haiti, you're doing music. Those are really nice hope. And you feel like you can do certain things, but you have so many obstacles. Not only as you don't have enough resources, but at the same time, you have a physical disability. How people sometimes don't even take you seriously until they hear you. But my goal was to be in a certain level where people will not see my disability, but will see my ability. So I had a chance to come here to the US. It was still very difficult because I came 1 week before the earthquake, which would destroy actually the school that I used to teach at Holy Trinity Music School there. And when I came here, it was very hard because you cannot communicate with anyone, but I could have died too. But again, sometimes, God has a plan for you, but you don't know. Sometimes we worry about things that we cannot control, but God already have our back. And in my case, I did believe God has my back. And God sent people my way. One story short, someone heard me play in a church once. And they said, man, you're very talented. Why don't you audition at Michigan State? And I said, well, I don't know anything about Michigan State. Why not? So I take the chance. I did not know, so I took the chance. And I went and I auditioned. The first question they asked me, if we give you a scholarship, will you stay at our school? And I said, well, I think that's basically what I came to audition for. And I didn't even audition for any other school. They offered me a full scholarship. Now, even if you receive a full scholarship, you still have to come up with room and board. But how do I come up with room and board while I have no one in this country? I have nobody. But one thing that I have is the God to whom nothing is impossible, is the God who owns everything, who owns the world. So I decided I will trust God in a way that I've never done before. Now, God has a way. Sometimes I feel like God has a sense of humor to get you to get where he wants you to be. So what God did, now English is not my first language, so I had to pass an English test. Usually I have that unwritten code with God. When I do my part, he has to do his. But the funny thing is, I study hard for that test. Nothing happened. I get close to that test, I get like 74, 73, but I need to get 75%. I cannot pass it. After I tried 3 times, I went on my knee. I said, Lord, I don't know exactly why this is happening. Because they told me, after they told me, the university told me, you are really great and the university love you, but we cannot admit you until you pass that test. In fact, they used the word impossible. And that's when I decided I'm going to pray. And right after I get on my knee and pray, and This friend that I met a year ago, I met Wynton Marsalis. Well, I was introduced to Wynton Marsalis a year before, and one of his friends also that I was playing at the ITG International Trumpet Guild with, we share connection and numbers, and he texted me out of the blue. He said, "Hey, Carlo, we're gonna be in town. Why don't you come to the concert? Make sure you come early. Come before the concert." And I said, "Okay." So I decided I show up at the dress rehearsal, and then immediately when Marsalis saw me, he said, "Man, I remember you. How are you doing?" I said, "Do you have your trumpet? Can you play for me today?" And I said, "Sure." And at the end, after the concert, he kept telling me to wait for him. And after I wait for him, and he said, "What can I do to help you? If there's anything I can do to help you, what could this thing be?" And I said, "Well, really, I don't really know, because I know you in New York and I'm in Michigan. The only thing that I can say, I would say, take lesson with you, this is kind of difficult." I said, "Well, maybe," no, actually, let me back out, because there's one statement that will be important. Right after I pray, actually, I received a phone call from the director of the admission from Michigan State. They said, "Carlo, get ready to start school in January." That was they called me in December and then asked me to come to school in January. I said, "Well, did you call me yesterday telling me that it was impossible for me to add?" And he said, "Yes, I did, but believe it or not, for some reason, all the faculties and the university decided to make an exception." Now, at the same time, I received that phone call to invite me to meet Wynton Marsalis. And Wynton Marsalis asked me to play for him. And right after I played for him, he asked me what can he do to help me. Remember, I did not have anything to pay for my women board. And when Marsalis asked me that, I didn't know what to ask. Until I said, "Well, maybe with my women board." And he said, "How much is it?" And I said, "It was, I think it is about $10,000 to $13,000 a year." He said, "Oh, give me your address, I'll send you the check." And I said, "Sure." And I'm trying to write. And he said, "Oh, by the way, take my cell phone number. If you don't hear from me in 3 days, give me a call." And when I called him, he planned everything, so pay for my women board for 4 years. No, God has also those ways he works out too, because after that, I was able to go to school for free. And God blessed me in a way, and I was able to audition for my master's. Sometimes I didn't even know if I was supposed to do a master's in music, but God make it in a way that I was able to do that. I received a teaching assistant position at Penn State to teach trumpet in the professor's studio, and at the same time go to school for free. After that point, I didn't even know what I was supposed to do. I'm going to try to make the story short. God opened different doors and closed certain doors for me so that I know exactly where I need to be. And he opened doors for me to go to do a gig in London. Actually, some of you probably see that you don't even know if I was one of the trumpet players. A commercial for Paralympic commercial in 2016 that called "Yes, I Can," where you see different musicians playing the drum with their feet and some playing airplanes. That I recorded this in London. God opened that doors for me, everything that I did. And I went, I received a full scholarship in a teaching assistant position at University of Missouri and completed my PhD in music. Now, I said all those things not to brag, but I said those things to tell you that nothing is impossible with God. If you are persistent, if you trust God, and if you rely on His grace, you can do miracles. I know I talk a lot. I will stop there, but I hope that if there's one thing that you can remember, nothing that you do, when you, for example, when you contribute to help others, and you might think whatever you do, it's being wasted. It is not. I'm one of the true examples of this. Because what if, for some reason, I did not have the help that I needed to finish high school, or I was not given a chance to even play the trumpet? I will not be here today. Now, Haiti have a lot of talented musicians. A lot. Haiti have a lot of smart kids because I was there and I know them because I was one of the kids too. But someone believed in me. Some institution believed in me. Actually, probably a lot of you contributed to my success. You probably don't even know. I'm trying to be true because there was one organization called Friends of St. Vincent's from Connecticut. Those people basically decided to give money for scholarship for a lot of students, and I was one of the kids that they pay school for. And today I'm here today. What if they decided, well, whatever we're doing it for nothing? Sometimes, there's a statement that I learned a long time ago that says, sometimes you cannot go to war, you send your feathers. The birds cannot go to war, they send their feathers. So you cannot go to war, sometimes you send what you have, your gifts, your, maybe even go there yourself, or whatever you have. And you think, well, I'm just giving this away to someone, but you make a huge difference that you don't even know. Today, I'm here today because of many of you, or many other Christians, or above all, because of God's mercy, of God's grace. Thank you so much for what you have done, and I hope that my story inspires you to continue to do good to others. Thank you. Oh, do I play some now, right? Oh.
Y'all want to hear him play?
Yes.
Well, there's one song, I know I played that, but if I have to, I will play that song again. But there's one song that is dear to my heart, called It Is Well With My Soul. I like that song a lot because the story, it's unbelievable. Sometimes you may have a loved one who have suffered different pain or cancer or death. And I think this song always reminds me that God is in control. So as I play that song, I hope it is a blessing to you. And I hope you enjoy it.